Welcome to the main shed. Today we're installing a decoder and a steam locomotive. Stay tuned. So I bought the steam locomotive from my local hobby shop. I paid about $30 for it. When I opened it up, it was a complete mess. There was pieces everywhere. But anyhow, I knew I needed to install a decoder, so I began to disassemble the locomotive. After unscrewing a few screws, it started coming apart fairly easy. I checked everything to make sure that it was in line and nothing that was internally was broken. I grabbed my decoder and started reviewing the schematics. I wanted to ensure that I knew where all the wires are supposed to go before I began this assembly. And if you've never installed a decoder before, you should always read the instructions. Digitrax explains how to install this, so if you're not understanding what I'm saying, just read the instructions. So this is a decoder that was made for an HO scale or even Z scale locomotive. I wish it was smaller, but hey, it was small enough to fit right below the motor. I just needed to make sure the wires wouldn't rub against anything moving, because if it did, that would cause a short circuit, and that's something that we do not want. I began to desolder the wires and began isolating the electrical components from the frame and the contacts. I then went through and prepped all of my wires for resoldering. Along the way, I cleaned up any wires that might have needed to be tended to. I began soldering the wires from the decoder to the contacts of the unit. I then flipped it over and did the other side as well. And you definitely want to make sure that you have a strong connection, because if you don't, you may have some electrical interference or just some general malfunctions. I then continued to solder wires from the decoder to the contacts on the motor. With the motor contacts soldered and the electrical pickups from the wheels and the rails soldered appropriately, the next step was to solder the light and the steam generator to the decoder. I went ahead and removed the weight and just kind of got that out of the way. And once I removed it, I was able to get to the light and the steam generator. Now these were already disconnected from the engine. When I bought this from a hobby shop, the owner said that he tested this unit and that it has some type of short or malfunction. And I can tell you why. These wires were disconnected, and I'm sure something was just short-circuiting on the frame. I began trying to see how the steam generator would fit in here. After a bit of finagling, I managed to break the wire off of the steam generator. Now this was a huge disappointment. I really thought I'd broken it. But as you can see, there's some type of mortar there. I was able to break some of it away and reveal the electrical contact that the wire once was connected to. I then soldered a wire that I had to it and began to assemble it. And what you see here is me connecting the decoder to the steam generator and light wires. This is a two-function decoder, so one function will be for the lights, one function will be for the generator. I'm told that if you run your generator without any steam oil in it, that it will burn up. And that's definitely something I don't want to do. And in fact, I do not want to take this unit back apart. It's a pain in the rear, I guarantee you. And if you're new to soldering, wires, etc., the best thing I can recommend for you is just to practice. Grab some old wires and just practice with it. For me, it just kind of comes naturally. I did learn a few tricks from the Train Freak and a few others. Having the right tools, such as the right soldering iron, the right solder, and some flux really helps. After soldering the last wire, I began to tidy up some of the contacts so that I would have no short circuits. I decided just to use some electrical tape just to make sure that the contacts didn't touch against the frame and short out. Just needed some type of protective layer. Now for the fun part, trying to fit the shell back onto the frame and hide any wires. And at the same time, you want to make sure your wires aren't touching any moving parts. Ended up flipping it over so that the weight would stay put while I tried to put the frame onto the shell. This seemed to work well. I only had to take my screwdriver and tuck in the small wires to kind of keep them in place and get them where I wanted them. Once everything was in place, all I had to do was just screw the frame to the shell and call it a day. And then there it is, the final product. Look at that smoke, it's just rising all the way up. Man. And I didn't share this, but the lot works, and I can go forward, and I can go reverse, and I am so glad I found this. And what a bargain, 30 bucks? This is amazing. Oh, look at that smoke. Ooh, it's just a rolling.